Royal confession rises like a quiet flame under the Arabian dusk, a whisper held in the breath of Dubai, a truth wrapped in golden sand, a story that waited 60 long years to cross the threshold of silence. Tonight, the city leans closer. Palm trees stand still. The wind softens its rhythm because a prince carries a secret in his heart. A secret shaped like a woman no one ever imagined. A woman whose age does not dim her radiance. A woman the world never thought would stand beside the soul of Fazza. Sheikh Hamdan walks through corridors of memory, each step a note, each memory a verse. He remembers the day her presence first touched his world. Not through beauty, not through youth, but through a grace carved by time, a strength molded by years, a softness born from wisdom and storms survived. Dubai shines bright, but her story shines brighter. The woman unexpected, the woman the city never predicted. She arrived without noise, without desire to be seen, yet her aura carried the kind of calm that royalty seeks but rarely finds. People search for youth. He searched for truth. People look for shine. He found depth. People chase perfection. He discovered a soul that needed no decoration. Sheikh Hamdan speaks in the quiet of the night, giving voice to a confession long held under royal silence. He tells of a woman whose presence steadied his storms, whose words felt like lanterns in deserts of doubt, whose heart held space for his own, not as a prince, not as a ruler, but as a man, a human, a soul seeking refuge. Her 60 years shaped her into a map of wisdom. Lines of courage lay across her hands. Echoes of sacrifice hum within her story. Her gaze carries deserts, seas, skies, dreams, loss, and rebirth. A universe written across the touch of time. The world wonders why a prince chooses differently, why he walks a road not taken by others of his crown, why his heart leans toward a woman beyond youth. But he knows youth is a moment, wisdom is a lifetime, glow is temporary, grace is eternal. He tells Dubai of the first moment she spoke, how her voice felt like ancient poetry, how her silence felt like promise, how her presence felt like home, the kind of home that does not fade, the kind of home that time cannot break, the kind of home that destiny guards. Tonight his confession drifts across the skyline, over towers that pierce the sky, over oceans that hold the heartbeat of the city, over streets glowing with gold and dream. He speaks of her kindness, a quiet power he could never ignore. He speaks of her strength, a shield that did not look like steel. He speaks of her soul, a place where he found something no throne could offer. The woman Dubai never expected, the woman destiny placed in his path, the woman whose 60 years carry stories deeper than jewels. She stands not before the world, but within his poetry, within his journey, within his truth. Royal confession is not about scandal, not about shock. It is about the moment a crown bows to a heart, the moment a prince chooses honesty, the moment a man chooses the soul that saved. Night deepens over Dubai, yet the confession ignites brighter than the city lights. Whispers travel through the desert air, carrying the echo of a truth that has just begun to unfold. Part 1 opened the door. Part 2 steps into the heart of the story, into the realm where silence once ruled, where feelings lived in shadows, where a prince learned the meaning of surrender. Sheikh Hamdan stands again under the sky, a sky wide enough to hold secrets, a sky patient enough to witness a destiny written before birth. He remembers how her journey intertwined with his, not suddenly, but slowly, like dawn folding itself into the horizon. She was not a storm. She was a steady wind, soft but certain, a presence that did not ask to be noticed, yet could never be ignored. People saw her age. He saw her essence. People saw numbers. He saw stories. People saw years lived. He saw wisdom earned. Her 60 years were not a weight. They were wings. Wings crafted from pain and triumph, from choices and consequences, from love given freely, from losses carried quietly. In the palace gardens, he recalls their first long conversation, a moment where time relaxed its hold, where words felt unnecessary, because understanding moved between them like gentle waves. He felt seen, not as a royal figure, but as a soul wearing layers many could never peel away. She told him of deserts she crossed, battles she fought alone, dreams she buried and dreams she dared to revive. Her life a tapestry woven by the hands of time. He listened, not because he had to, but because every thread of her story drew him closer, into a world richer than any crown could offer. Dubai continued living in its glitter, but he lived in the quiet glow of her presence. He found refuge in the simplicity of her truths, a rare honesty that could not be bought, a rare loyalty that could not be taught, a rare warmth that defied expectation. As nights passed, he began to carry her voice like a compass. Her guidance touched corners of his life unseen by the public. She became a shelter, a reminder that even those born in palaces crave grounding. Even those surrounded by millions can feel alone. Even those praised endlessly can ache silently. She showed him that strength is not always loud. Sometimes it breathes softly. Sometimes it heals gently. Sometimes it stands quietly beside a heart weary from the weight of duty. Their bond grew not from romance, but from resonance. Two souls meeting in the middle of fate. Two journeys aligning under the watch of destiny. Two stories merging into one path. Unexpected yet undeniable. People imagine royalty chooses brilliance, but he chose presence. People imagine royalty seeks perfection, but he chose truth. People imagine royalty loves with grandeur, but he loved with clarity. And the prince remembers every turning point. The moment he realized her voice calmed storms he never admitted. The moment he discovered her silence carried more meaning than applause. The moment he felt anchored by her steadiness, more deeply than by any jewel, more deeply than by any, unfolds like dawn rising over the Arabian horizon. Soft, slow, steady. A final chapter of a confession that changed the rhythm of Dubai. The city now knows the outline of the story, but the heart of it glows deeper, deeper than rumor, deeper than fascination, deeper than the idea of royalty itself. Sheikh Hamdan stands at the edge of his truth, looking back on the path that brought him here, a path shaped not by luxury, not by power, but by the presence of a woman who carried 60 years of life like a crown of her own. This chapter begins with memory, a memory he carries like a lantern, lighting every shadow within him. A memory of the first time he saw her strength revealed not in action, but in stillness. He recalls her sitting quietly near the palace courtyard, a posture of calm woven from years of weathered storms. The world may have expected youth beside him, but destiny placed wisdom. It placed resilience. It placed a woman whose silence held more truth than 1,000 voices. He watched her not as a prince, but as a student of life, learning from the gentleness of her patience, from the depth of her compassion, from the quiet certainty she carried in every breath. Her 60 years were chapters filled with lessons, and he read each one, not with curiosity, but with reverence. He speaks of the shift inside him. The moment he realized she was not simply a presence, she was a turning point, a milestone in his journey, a guide shaped not by age, but by time itself. She taught him that love is not always fire. Sometimes it is shade. Sometimes it is calm. Sometimes it is the hand that steadies you when the world spins too fast. He remembers how she became the echo behind his decisions, the unseen voice that reminded him of humility, the quiet wisdom that softened the edges of duty. Her influence a river flowing through every choice he made. Invisible yet powerful, Dubai often wonders why he carries her so close, why a young prince looks toward a woman who lived 60 years before their paths crossed. The city whispers, speculates, invents stories, but truth does not need to defend itself. Truth simply breathes, and so does she, through every corner of his life. He describes her presence in moments unseen by the world, moments where he allowed his guard to fall, moments where she saw not the prince, but the human, a human with fears, with doubts, with weight no crown could lighten. She lifted those burdens not with grand gestures, but with understanding, with patience, with a silence that felt like prayer. Her presence filled the spaces where loneliness once lived, and loneliness retreated, quietly, without return. She is the woman Dubai never expected, but she is the woman his soul recognized long before his mind understood. In this final, he offers gratitude. Gratitude for every lesson she gave without asking, for every wound she helped him heal, for every piece of himself she helped him rediscover. He speaks of her like one speaks of destiny, not chosen, but revealed, not forced, but fulfilled. Their story is not bound by